G'day viewers, how you going? Brett Paul here. Another lovely day flying in paradise. I'm just cruising along the beaches of northern New South Wales here on a perfect Friday afternoon. Light onshore breeze and it's just sweet. Now days like this here along this part of the coastline is tailor-made for power paragliding. It's just nice long stretch of beach. I've got about 25k or so around the Byron Bay there. Australia's most easterly point. Now I'm super excited. I've got a new donk here on my back, the Nitro 200. It's the Race 2 frame with electric start, and this is my very first paramotor with electric start. I've had 3 paramotors before this, and I've got to say this, spoiler alert, this is unbelievable. I don't know why I waited so long to go for electric start. I'm running with the 140cm E-prop, and it's the 3-blade. I haven't had a 3-blade prop as well, so I thought I'd give that a go, and so far so good. Really enjoying the performance from this prop. Now I'm coming up on 20 hours now since I took delivery of the motor, and it's just starting to get over that initial run-in phase, and it's feeling it's actually performing really well. So I thought it was a good time for me to give you my thoughts on this motor, this setup, and ultimately why I think it is for essentially all pilots, but especially the newer pilots that are looking to get into the sport. A year ago I went down and visited my mate Scott Utley down in Victoria. He's the AirConception dealer here in Australia, and when we went flying one day he gave me a go of the Nitro in the Race 1 frame. And what I thought straight away, I'd never had an AirConception on my back before. As soon as I put it on my back, I was just absolutely amazed at the lightweight of the paramotor. I couldn't believe it. Now, I'm coming from a motor that was north of 30 kilos, so to be putting the Nitro on my back in the AC frame, which was just over a touch over 20 kilos with electric start, I couldn't believe how easy it was on my back, ground handling it. Now, Scott took a video that he sent me, and in the last year I reckon I've watched that video about 50 times. Now if you have a look at what happens here, it's just a nondescript reverse launch. I just bring the glider up, it's a quite nice gentle sea breeze, just turn when the wing is settled, move forward a little bit, hit the start button, and away I went. Now there's nothing fancy or nothing spectacular about the launch, but for me, for someone that's been flying heavy gear for a long time, it really resonated with me at the possibility of what lightweight electric paramotoring, what the feeling was like. And I joke with Scott now that this particular video actually cost me quite a bit of money, because it was from this video that I realised, I just thought, I've got a heavy foot launch paramotor, I need to get into something lightweight, something a lot easier. And from that moment on, that launch sealed the deal for me. I just had to do everything I could to get into a lighter weight electric start paramotor. So back to present day, I ordered the motor, and a couple of months ago she came. Ever since I've been flying it, it's actually just reinforced the decision that I made to go this route. Having a lightweight paramotor with electric start on your back, I can't emphasize enough at how good that is, and I think all pilots should be looking at that option. I really do. Pull start paramotors can be so problematic. I've been there and I've done that. I've had 3 heavier motors in my time, and all pull starts, and all 3 had issues pull starting. At the end of the day, electric start for me is the way to go for many reasons. Now the good thing about the Nitro 200 is AirConception and Technofly, who make the motor, have been refining, redeveloping and improving the motor over the last couple of years. And I know a couple of years ago there were 1 or 2 issues along the way that they had to deal with. Fortunately, they've dealt with those issues, and now the motor is quite a proven motor out in the field. So that was something that certainly appealed to me. I didn't want to be a beta tester. I wanted something that was proven, and something that it had been out being used by real pilots on a daily basis. So that was one thing that swayed me in the direction, as well as the weight and the electric start. Also, dealing with an Australian paramotor dealer is I think very important. Obviously you've got this service, and you've also got easy access to spare spare parts should you need them. Now that's one thing that Scotty offers, fantastic customer service, guys. Those people that have dealt with him before know that he goes out of his way to provide service to customers. To give you an example of that, Scott travels up and down the East Coast delivering paramotors, hand delivering paramotors to new pilots and pilots that buy the machine off him in most cases, to help set the paramotor up, to make sure that it's set up correctly for the pilot that purchases it. So that service alone is just an incredible thing that Scott offering, and I think it's something that more people should know about, because it really helps a lot of pilots that are coming into the sport that ultimately don't know a whole lot about motors, and especially the sport of powered paragliding. There's so much to learn, so much news going on, especially if you're only just getting into it. So having Scott there to help you get through that period, I think is vital. So if you're looking for good service as well as good equipment, obviously Scott's providing that. Another positive when you're buying this machine is you get a 2-year warranty. That's a complete 2-year warranty, and that's fantastic. That's good peace of mind right there. When you're spending so much on equipment, to have a 2-year warranty on the motor and the components, it's just really it's good to have that in the back of your mind and know that you're going to be supported and backed up should something fail on the paramotor or the frame or any of the equipment that's on the kit here. So that's a 2-year warranty. That's fantastic. Now, one thing I did like is the simplistic design of this paramotor frame and the engine. Everything is neat, everything is tidy. The quality of the build materials is top notch. We're using titanium frame, which allows a thinner diameter tubing, and aesthetically it just looks really nice. Working on the paramotor is pretty much a breeze because everything's quite accessible, even down to little design features like having the carburetor in the right spot so you can access it while the engine's running. Because I see that a lot. I've had a paramotor that you couldn't really access the idle or the jets when the motor's running for tuning and whatnot. So just a little thing like that is something that I look for and something that I enjoyed having. This is a new hang point system for me. I'm used to the high hang point. So to go to the Swan necks, it's not the actual changeover from a high hang point to the Swan necks has been no problem at all. There's a little bit more feedback to the pilot, but a lot more weight shift. With high hang points, it's virtually zero weight shift. With this system, I've got a lot more weight shiftability, and also I'm actually a lot freer in the way that I'm sitting here. I've got less straps in front of me from the high hang point with the J bars that come up on each side. And these bars are offset to allow for the torque compensation. And so far, I haven't really experienced much torque at all. Now, of course, there's going to be some, but so far not enough to go, oh geez, that's a pain in the ass. I'm just cruising along here now at about 5,600 RPM, and I feel like I'm going dead straight. So that's my cruise. Now, I mentioned earlier I'm a fairly heavy guy, north of 100 kilos, so that's getting up there in weight. So I did toy with going with the Tornado, the new Tornado that's just come out from AirConception, and that would have been plenty of grunt for me. But I went with the 200 Nitro with this 3-blade or 140 centimeter prop configuration, because I'm not a guy that flies, aggressively. I'm not a guy that does huge climbs and then big maneuvers to go down low. I just like to cruise along like I'm doing right now. This thing's got way more push and thrust than I ever could have hoped for. So I made the right decision. The other thing I wanted as well is I wanted a motor that was going to be fairly good on fuel. Now I've got a range of wings. I've got a 20 metre, a 23 metre, a 28 and two 28 metres. So I've got a range of wings. And I know when I fly, I'll fly my bigger gliders most of the time because I just like to cruise, as I said, and I didn't want to be, carrying 5 and 6 litres an hour worth of fuel. So for me, some fuel economy was certainly something that I wanted as well. And fortunately, the Nitro here, with my style of flying, I'm using anywhere from just on 4 to about 4.25 litres an hour. I've seen so many new students struggle to learn because of inappropriate gear. And essentially the inappropriate gear is generally come down to one factor, and it's the weight. You can have a motor that's a little bit underpowered and obviously a motor that's overpowered, but if you've got a heavy paramotor, it makes the learning curve so much steeper than it should be and needs to be, that there's no doubt that it drives a lot of pilots out of the sport, and it stops them fulfilling their flying dream. So the weight is a huge factor for all pilots, but especially the new pilot. And if you're a new pilot, one of the big things to consider is that weight. And the reason for that is that if you're training, let's be honest, your skill set isn't where it needs to be at that point of your flying career. So you need every advantage you can get. And having a lightweight setup, having this setup here, enables you to better handle yourself on the ground, and ultimately that's where shit breaks, on the ground. Now that's what I think of the Nitro 200 in the AC frame. Incredible combination, and it's simply the best paramotor that I've flown, and it's something that I think you should seriously consider if you're looking at getting into the sport. 20 hours in, and I am absolutely wrapped with it, as I've outlined a few times now. It just doesn't get any better for me. As someone that I fly a lot, I fly a real lot, and this has made my whole experience so much more pleasurable. I've been flying for so long now, and I can't believe that I'm actually even more enamored with the sport, even love it even more. It's simply because of the gear that I'm now flying. I've got this incredible paramotor, this incredible cage, frame, electric start, lightweight, the whole lot, not to mention this awesome wing that I'm flying, which I'll have to do a little impressions video on at some point as well. By the way, thanks Mark for that. Cloud-based paragliding, give him a plug there. If you want the ultimate paramotor, in my opinion, the ultimate paramotor, contact Scott. He'll look after you. He'll do his best to get you into the ultimate paramotor, and you won't look back. Honestly, gone are the days of a heavy paramotor, a hard to start, pull start heavy paramotor that just absolutely drives you away from the sport. Guys, if you're a new guy, there's no questions asked. Get one of these paramotors. Anyway, that's all I've got to say about it. I'll continue to smile, I'll continue to enjoy the flying, and I'll continue to love doing this wonderful sport. And I hope that anyone watching that's getting into the sport has the opportunity to get out of the sport what I get out of it. It means so much to me, and hopefully if I've helped someone to purchase equipment, suitable equipment that's going to find them enjoying the sport as much as me, like I said, then I'm wrapped. So thanks for watching, guys. I'm Brett Paul, and until next time, see you later.